2, 1. Hey, everybody, it's Abraham DeWeese with Seattle Sports Union once again on our weekly podcast with Matt Paige and Brian the Soul Man Solack. Hi, guys. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you guys? Hey.
It's going well.
It's going well, especially here we are right before the Husky game, recording our show, and I'm fascinated to see if FS1 will postpone the Husky game in favor of NASCAR pickup trucks.
Interviews is what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
Post-drive interviews.
I don't know if you guys remember a couple of years ago when the Husky game was, I think it was against Stanford. Yes, it was against Stanford, and it was an important game. It was going to determine the Pac-12 North, and for some reason, FS1 thought NASCAR pickup trucks.
Yeah, it wasn't even like the frontline NASCAR, was it? It was the NASCAR trucks.
No, I'm looking at this. There's some guy with a ridiculously oversized red cowboy hat.
He needs a shave.
Yeah, no way. That's the kind of garbage plan that the Pac-12 network or the Pac-12 has with all the different networks. I know we were going to start with Seahawks, but I think we're just going to, in fact, just complain about the Pac-12 for a minute here.
Oh, I want to complain about the Pac-12 network and how they still haven't. 4 years since their creation? They still haven't signed a real media deal with like any of the local, like DirecTV doesn't have them, and Dish Network doesn't have them, and
Comcast has them.
Comcast has them, but like CenturyLink doesn't, or something. There's like another one that doesn't carry them.
Does not. I don't think Frontier does.
Yeah.
Like you said, DirecTV and Dish Network. No, Dish does have them.
YouTube TV doesn't have them.
YouTube TV does not have them.
They need to get on everyone.
What a garbage network that is.
Garbage network, garbage conference, garbage officials.
I don't know about garbage conference, but garbage officials I'll go with, yes.
I think I'll agree with Solack on this one. It is a garbage conference when you look at the perspective that they haven't put a team in the Final Four for football in quite a while. And I think the last time they had a Final Four basketball team, it might have been Oregon, like 3 or 4 years ago.
Wait. Weren't the Huskies in the Final Four of the college football like 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Quite some time, 2 years ago? Okay.
That was 2 years ago, and I think that's too long. And then again with basketball, Oregon was in the Final Four about 3 years ago, and that's, in my opinion, too long for this once proud conference.
I think the problem is we play too many conference games against each other. We beat the crap out of each other, so we don't get rated as high.
Well, specifically for football, that is true.
Look at this last weekend. Oregon was playing Wazoo, and Alabama had a bye versus like who were they playing? Like Podunk Western College's Teachers College or something. I mean, it was
St. Mary's Teachers College for the Blind. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, that was a bye week.
It was essentially a bye week. LSU got an actual regular bye. And every year the SEC does this. And every year they claim that they have way too many difficult games. Here's the truth. Here's the disgusting truth that they can't see is that by not having one more in-conference game, they're basically not taking 6 extra in-conference losses as a conference as a whole. Yep. Because, or maybe they do recognize that, and that's the reason why they don't want to do it.
Well, yeah, that's exactly why they don't want to do it. They also don't travel. They never leave their own. They always go to a neutral site, which is Texas or Atlanta.
Oh, Atlanta's the most neutral that you can get.
Apparently, yeah, and they don't travel. Although apparently that is going to change here in a couple of years. I think I saw Georgia and was it USC that signed a deal with them, so they're going to actually play home and home. And there's a couple other teams that are actually looking into potentially like traveling. Ohio State and Georgia is another. Yeah, Georgia's actually branching out, and I finally. I mean, I got to give them credit for that at least, but. No one ever leaves the comfy confines of their conference. They never actually go anywhere. They go to Texas or they go to Atlanta or they go, to the division, their division rivals place. That's it. You don't ever see Alabama come to California to play USC or UCLA or Stanford or something like that. They would never bother to do that. They would make it be a neutral site.
Yeah, I'm going to go back. Can I go back to how you say the Pac-12 plays too many conference games?
Yeah.
What about the Big Ten, the conference that has like 20 freaking teams? Do they?
They
how
play
many
the
conference
same
games they
number.
play?
They play this 9 conference games.
Why do they get better ratings? Because they're closer to the East Coast? Bias bull crap or what?
Well, the Big Ten network is on everything. It's on YouTube TV. It's on Comcast. It's on Dish, DirecTV, everything.
Oh, okay.
They get noticed more. Yeah.
Okay.
And they play in better time zone. I think there's that.
And
too.
they play in a better time zone. That's true as well.
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't know. The Big Ten, it's not like their brand of football. I will put this out there. It's not like the ACC or the SEC or the Big Ten have better top to bottom talent. And I put this on everybody out there listening and the both of you. Look at how the NFL draft turns out. I think it just has more to do with, like you said, they're in a better time zone. They have a much better media deal, and it's just a weird self-fulfilling prophecy that the Pac-12 just got themselves stuck and can't get out of it.
Understood. Time to get rid of Larry Scott or whatever that jackass name is. Get rid of him.
I love the way that you got his name correct, and then was like, or whatever his name might be.
Yeah, that Brian Solack or whatever his name, he needs to learn how to get names right.
Is that how you pronounce it? Larry Scott?
Anyways.
Like it's hard to pronounce. It's one of those names that's just challenging. Larry Scott?
By the way, it is now 7:30, and FS1 is still fixated on this NASCAR pickup truck rally.
No, they're switching over now.
Oh, are they switching over? Okay.
Because the game starts at 7:30. It didn't start at 7.
Okay. Well,
kickoff is in 15 minutes. Okay, so the game actually starts at 7:45.
Oh, so they pushed kickoff back 15 minutes just in case the just in case the NASCAR pickup truck rally.
So just another example. This game is starting at 10:45 p.m. Eastern time.
Let's be honest, guys. If you were on the East Coast, it's 10:45. Are you watching Washington, which is having a down year, versus Oregon State, who is, still trying to get the ship righted? I mean, it's not a sexy matchup, and that's pretty damn late.
I mean, if I have nothing better to do, I'm at home, and I'm a college football fanatic, so I might have it on in the background while I'm doing something else. But yeah, I wouldn't really be that interested, I guess.
All right, well, let's stop talking about NASCAR pickup truck rallies, I guess, and let's start moving on to what's really important this week, and that's our Seattle Seahawks. What was the most exciting thing that you noticed during the Seahawks game this last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I'll start with that. I guess anytime Russell Wilson had the ball, that was the only exciting point for me to watch that game. I thought we played awful on defense, and we should have blown these guys out and shouldn't have gone down to the last play of pretty much the last, last overtime drive of the game. I'm not very happy with this team. I think we're going to get blown out on Monday night, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. We probably will. I don't know about blown out, but I think we will be losing Monday night. There's just too many problems on defense. My most exciting key. I want to mention a player. I want to give a shout out to Jacob Hollister, who stepped in as our tight end catcher of choice above Luke Wilson. He had a great game. He caught 2 touchdown passes. This dude was on the practice squad for the Patriots before the beginning of the season, I believe, and he stepped up because Disley got hurt. And then Luke Wilson left the game with an injury, and behold Jacob Hollister. It was like, wow, okay, this guy knows what he's doing, and he took advantage of the opportunity, and I was impressed with him.
Jacob Hollister from the University of Wyoming.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Mighty
Okay.
Cowboy.
Didn't know that. All right.
Nope.
And he was the favorite target of who?
The guy,
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a guy that's actually had some play. Like you said, he made the Patriots roster, and I was actually kind of down on him. I did not like the fact that Disley, when he went down, that they threw to Hollister, because I imagine there can't be any better tight end than a University of Washington tight end. Why would there be, or even as good? But gosh darn it, he impressed me. He really did.
It was a bright spot in that game. I was really happy to see him do well.
Solack, I feel like you and I have a different view on last Sunday's game. I thought it was the most exciting game of the Seahawks season, maybe even from the last couple seasons. It sounds like you were not as impressed or as excited.
How can I be? I mean, Tampa Bay is probably one of the worst organizations in the National Football League, in my opinion. And
Whoa. They're not Miami.
Or the Jets.
Nobody's Miami or the Jets, but
Or
come on, they're
Cincinnati.
probably I don't know how many teams in the league anymore. I can't even keep track, but they're probably one of the 10 worst franchises in football, and we couldn't keep up with them for the first half. And because we have Russell Wilson, and I've said this many times, because he has God on his side, we came back and we won this football game.
You hear that, Matt? Jameis Winston does not have God on his side.
Apparently not. No.
He does have Sanju Sharma on his side, but that's about it.
Yeah, I guess it was exciting in one aspect, but it was really I was furious watching this game. I just got angrier and angrier and angrier as the game went on because of how inept our defense was and how good they were making a future backup quarterback named Jameis Winston look.
I think
Jameis
you
Winston
two are
is
really,
going to be cut at the end of the year.
I think you two are really dismissing him, and I think you're dismissing Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles.
No, Jameis Winston literally will be cut at the end of the year. His contract is up or whatever. He's done, and he's not going to get re-signed. Look at his stat line on the season.
Forget him. Look at Mike Evans as a receiver.
Well, Mike Evans
that's
is
an actual talent.
Mike Evans is one of the top 5 receivers in the game.
Agreed.
That's unquestioned in my mind. I'm not even going to debate that. That is one of the top 5 in the game. But the fact that the quarterback took us apart like that, such a Bush League quarterback, it bothers me. And when here's the thing. Here's the thing about our season. We have been incredibly lucky. We have not faced a real franchise quarterback yet. Remember, we dodged Roethlisberger and we dodged Drew Brees. What happens when we face a real quality quarterback? What happens when we face an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady or one of those, or when Drew Brees comes back and we run into him in the playoffs? What happens when we face one of those guys? They're going to just destroy our secondary. If Jameis Winston can make our secondary look that bad, I mean, take a real quarterback.
He's okay. He's not terrible. And Bruce Arians has a history of making the Seahawks secondary look foolish. I don't want to discount. I know their record. I know they only have 2 wins, but I don't think they're as bad as their record implies. Just top to bottom. I don't think it's that terrible of a team.
I disagree. I think they have a great defense, like I said, but I think it's because of Leftwich. I think he's a great offensive coordinator, and that's the only reason why Winston, and the fact that we have a crappy pass secondary, why Winston had a great game on Sunday. I mean, we couldn't even get to the quarterback once again. Another issue.
Okay, a quarterback who on the year has 16 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, and he got how many against us? He got 2 of those against us, and he has a quarterback rating of 53.
Wow.
Okay. His completion percentage is 59%. and we made him look like Aaron Rodgers.
Boy, oh boy. I will have to say that he's still the starting quarterback and Marcus Mariota isn't. And that's a shot at Matt Paige. So we'll just move on to the next question. The Seahawks are the number 4 offensive team in the NFL. That's based on yards. Does that stat match what you think of this offense? I know sometimes stats lie. Do you think this is one of the great offenses in the NFL?
No.
All right, well, there you have it, folks.
I'm laughing because it's just no. And I was about to say the exact same thing.
Okay.
Nope, let's move on. No,
Yeah,
I think talent-wise, it's not, and I think I think right now, by far, we're being carried by Russell. He's by far number 1 on the list for MVP in my opinion, and not pretty much anyone who's been paying attention this season. He's carrying this team. But in terms of like overall offense and talent, I don't think we're even close. I don't even know if we're top 10 in my mind.
I agree. Lockett is a hell of a receiver. He's a top 10, maybe top 15 guy. But Chris Carson, I'm still a hater, but not a hater, more of a doubter. He's a good back, but he can't. It seems like every other game or every couple games he can't seem to hang on to the ball.
See, I'd put him top 10 as a top 10 running back. I don't. He'd be like 8th in that list, but he'd be in the top 10 in my mind.
I'd put him as closer to number 20, but that's just my opinion, though.
I'm impressed with DK Metcalf and how quickly he's developed, because all the reports out of camp and out of the draft were like, this dude can't run a route. He's not smart enough to even just like learn new routes. So he was basically going to be a vertical guy, and that was pretty much it. And he's been impressed me with by constantly being getting open, finding ways to get open, and doing the job. And so our receiving core is actually doing a little better than I thought they were. But that combined with the vanilla play calling from Schottenheimer, I don't really see us as a top 5 offense.
I am so glad that Solack wasn't one of my high school teachers, because just like Miss Baumgartner, who failed me, I think you're a harsh grader, Solack. You'd be flunking kids left and right.
I'm just being realistic.
Are you though? Okay, guys, let's take a look at this. Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, Tyler, Russell Wilson. There has never been a quartet of skill position players on the Seahawks ever, right?
You put DK Metcalf on any other team with an average quarterback, he's not going to do jacks. I'm trying to watch my language. So fill in the blanks, you guys.
You could say squat.
Yes, I think he had a good game last week, because I think he's threatened by the fact that the Hawks signed Josh Gordon. But we'll see if he can bring that game this coming Monday night against Richard Sherman and the 49ers. I'm Chris Carson. He's a good back, but the guy can't handle the ball. He hang onto the ball. He's a good back for our offense, but I don't see him around in a couple years. We're going to move on to the next guy. Why did we draft Penny? I know Penny sucks, but why did we draft him last year? Because there's serious doubts. There's some doubts about Carson, in my opinion.
Are you talking about the 3rd leading rusher in the NFL?
I don't think there's any doubts about Carson at the moment. There may have been, but I think he's by far proved himself.
He's got a case of the fumbles this year, but I mean, if you look at his history, that's just this year. That historically he's not been a fumbler.
Fair enough, but I think we have even though they can't seem to block for Russell Wilson and get sacked all the time, but we paid a lot of money for our offensive line to open up these holes for Carson. I mean, when Penny's in the ball game too, he gets some decent carries, and I know someone from the University of Oregon is not a fan of Penny, but the guy's probably averaging 5-6 yards a carry every time he does get the ball. Even that guy Procise, he's getting 5-6 yards a carry in his limited playing time.
Yeah, Matt Paige or whatever his name is.
There,
guy, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know.
I'm
Wait a
sorry,
minute.
I'm
I
so
wanna go back to-
negative.
I want to go back to this. I want to go back to this because Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Chris Carson. Are you telling me that there's a better quartet in the NFL? I'm challenging you guys.
No, you are challenging me. Can I have till our next episode to figure that out?
Better quartet than.
Tune in next time when. So,
I
find some
can
better-
Yeah, I can name one right now off the top of my head.
Okay,
All
go
right.
for
I'm
it.
sure I can name more if you give me time. But right off the top of my head, I would go Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Alvin Kamara.
Well, Alvin Kamara plays for the Saints, so that's going to be a problem.
Why'd I say Alvin Kamara? I meant the other dude, Freeman. Freeman? The running back. I always forget his name.
Devonta Freeman, yes.
Yes, there you go. That dude.
I would
Good
even go with
old, good old, what's his name? I'll never forget him.
New Orleans. New Orleans has Kamara, and they got Breeze, and they got.
Michael Thomas.
Thank you. And
Is there a
God, I
fourth
thought
guy?
there-
I'm sure there's some other people on the team as well.
Well, I'll tell you what. If the Falcons
Um,
have such a great quartet, why aren't
how
they
about-
putting up numbers like the Seahawks?
How about how about a team that is putting up numbers like them? The Green Bay Packers.
Okay.
Okay.
Who are there for?
Well,
Rodgers. We all know Rodgers.
obviously Rodgers. Aaron Green, their running back, who's like amazing all of a sudden. Then they've got their number one wideout and their number two wideout.
Yet you don't know their names, do you?
And it's
Devonta
Adams. And he's on my team is SV. What's his name? Freaking SV guy. I always forget his name. Sterling
Sterling Sharp.
Valdez or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Valdez Scantling.
He is not as good as Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf.
He's
No
equal
way.
of DK. He's equal of DK. Yep.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure I can run the stats on him right now, and I'm sure I can.
Okay.
But Aaron
Well,
Green
you do that.
destroys
So-
Chris Carson.
Aaron Jones.
Jones. That's what I mean.
I don't think Aaron Jones is in the same class as Chris Carson.
He's above Chris Carson.
I don't think so.
Okay. Allow me to read you his stats.
Okay.
Right here.
To the
Okay.
internet, everybody.
Here we go. He has got a 496 yards rushing.
Mhm.
He's got 8 touchdowns. And then he's also caught the ball 35 times for 354 yards and another 3 touchdowns.
And then what does Chris Carson have?
Chris Carson, as you hear my
And while he's looking this up, you two have only proved one team that has a
Chris-
quartet.
Chris
we can-
Carson has
the
764 yards on the ground
So much
Three-
more.
and only 3 touchdowns.
I asked you to give me a week. I
And-
can guarantee
and on-
it.
And he's only caught 24 passes for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Okay, so they're two different types of running backs, basically. Then.
One's an actual running back and one's an all-purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let me give you a push on the Packers and the Seahawks for their skill positions, and I'll just have to say, like, we spent all this time, and all you guys could come up with was one team, right?
I'm sure if we sat here, we could figure out more.
we can't. It's not
Next
possible. 'cause my-
next episode, everybody will have that. We'll prove
We'll
Abraham.
have like 8 teams ready.
All right, guys. Well, since you guys are wrong about that, I was going to ask you, is this the best quartet the Seahawks ever had? But I'm sure you'll pull up something like a XFL team that's about to start that has a better quartet than our Seahawks. So we're gonna.
I don't know. I liked Marshawn. I liked our offensive quartet that we had in the Super Bowl win against Denver with Marshawn, Russell, Baldwin, and Lockett.
Lockett
I
wasn't
agree
on
with
that team.
Yeah, he was.
He wasn't.
Yes,
He
he
was
was.
drafted in 2015. That Super Bowl was 2013.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
Let's
You
see.
look that up and you'll be wrong. He was not on that team.
What about Dave Craig, Steve Largent, Kurt Warner, Daryl Turner? There you go.
Oh, Daryl
That's
Turner.
a good challenge. Yeah.
My dad hated him.
Why?
I don't know. It was something to the effect that he had a nickname. It was like Deep Treat or Sweet Feet or something like that. My dad hated nicknames on players.
Was it really that long ago that the Seahawks won the Super Bowl?
Yeah, it was 2013. Tyler Lockett was not on the team.
No, he
But
wasn't.
I can't.
You're right.
It's a great quartet, Solack, but you can't tell me that Craig is anywhere near Russell Wilson.
Overall, no, but
No.
what,
But in
1980,
heart.
was it 84? I think that they had a great year.
In terms of sheer pluck and heart, he was.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Pluck and Heart.
I love Dave Craig. What can I say?
Was Pluck and Heart a combination of the band Heart and
Yes.
another team? Okay, all right. Well, I'll tell you what, 84, you're not going to like this, Solack, but Kurt Warner was injured that year. He didn't actually play the full year.
I forgot about that. My bad.
Yeah.
I'm still going to go with my foursome there.
What do you guys think about Derek Fenner, Stan Gelbaugh, and Brian Blades? I don't know. Whatever.
No.
No. Nope.
How about Rick Meyer?
No. Moving on.
What about any era with Dan Dornick? There you go.
Or Dan
Oh.
McGuire. How about Dan McGuire's year?
Oh God.
The
No.
Dr. Dan Dornick was better.
All right, guys. Let's get out of the past and
But Dan McGuire was the poor man's Brock Osweiler.
let's talk about recent pickup by the Seattle Seahawks by the name of Josh Gordon. Tell me about this pickup. How was it necessitated when we see the dominance of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett? Why do we have them?
Let's go with Mr. Anti Josh Gordon. Go first, Matt.
Okay. I guess I'm the only one who didn't like this pickup. The reason why, to answer your question, the reason why we went after him and got him was because we put in a claim because what the hell, might as well. And it was only, I think he was only signed for $2 million. So it's not like we were risking a lot of money in terms of salary cap. And I think we were shocked to get him. He fell all the way to 28th, was it? 27th or 28th?
Yeah.
On the waiver wire. There was a lot of teams who were hoping that he'd fall all the way to free agency and hope to get him at a cheaper price there. But no, I think it was just, hey, we've got a young and not very deep, as it turns out, wide receiver core, and it wouldn't hurt to try and add one. And lo and behold, the claim went through, and next day we have him. Yeah.
So because I have him in my fantasy league, I can make this claim. He didn't really do much for the Patriots this year.
No,
Yeah, they have other weapons, though.
Do they though? Not at the receiver position.
Not really.
Patriots. They got Edelman. They got.
That's where you run out.
Tune in next week as Ryan Solack researches Patriots receivers.
At the time, Antonio Brown. What did he go last 1 week? But
Wait 1 week, yeah. They traded for Mohamed Sanu.
Oh, that's right.
They've got N'Keal Harry, who's finally off the injured list from ASU. He was one of their first round draft pick, I think. They've got a bunch of other no-name guys.
Matt, though, I'm kind of in your camp. I don't think Josh Gordon's all that great anymore. If he was, the Patriots would have kept him.
Well, no, it's not that for me. I think what it is I think they reached their limit for BS with AB and that and all that, and Belichick doesn't like the distractions. Like I forget who was it there. There was a running back who he started that went 3 games and he had 12 touchdowns in 3 games and he started talking like he was the man, and so Belichick just freaking benched him and no one ever heard from him ever again. It was so it's I think it's a matter of they were just they didn't want the noise, and wherever he's been, especially obviously in Cleveland, he's always been a distraction for teams. And my hesitation, well, yes, he's been getting what just suspended for his pot use and
just a little weed.
And he's
immediate. Like to smoke a little weed.
He draws attention away from the team. He distracts the team, and so that's a negative on the clubhouse. And that's my hesitation in regarding this. I'm not I don't think he's lost his talent or anything necessarily. My concern is that this team right now seems to be doing better than in my opinion they really should be, and I think that's due to chemistry. I think they've got a good. I think it's it's an example of a true team. They're coming together. They're better than they really should be on paper, and I think he could be potentially a distraction to the clubhouse and mess up that chemistry. And I don't think he's worth the risk. I don't think the reward is really worth the risk in my mind.
Okay, well, unless he's lighting up a doobie in the clubhouse, do kids still say doobie? Is that a
no?
Is that the right term?
That's a 1990s term.
Well,
okay.
The recording didn't automatically beep you out, so I assume you can say it.
Okay, great. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'm not in the same camp as you then. I think he's just lost a step. So I guess eventually we'll find out.
I think he. Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
I think he's going to be a huge addition to this team if he can stay healthy. I think he's going to be a number 3 wide receiver. People are going to pay attention to him to get people like Metcalf open more, and obviously Lockett's still going to do his great job. I think our number 3 through 5 wide receivers are a bunch of garbage.
You don't like Malik Turner?
I'm not a fan just yet. Sorry. Wow. And I think Russell Wilson will keep Josh Gordon in check for this season, and it's gonna be a reward, not a risk.
Okay. All right, let's talk about our favorite subject other than the Washington State Cougars, which is our number 1 topic of all time. But that would be the Seahawks defense. They're ranked number 25 in yardage, 22 in points allowed. Is it time to panic?
Yeah, yes,
a little bit.
Yeah.
When a team that's 2 and 6 comes, and tears apart your secondary like that, there's obviously got to be some questions and some evaluation on what went wrong and what are we missing,
Well, first of all, you guys have been lambasting the secondary all show long. How come you guys aren't going after what I think is the true problem in the defensive line? We're not getting any pass rush.
We weren't able to get to that, but I was waiting for that topic. I think with all our 5,000 listeners who listen to our podcast every week, I think they hear us every week talking about how awful our defensive line is, and it continues to be an issue. And I don't think we need to panic, but we know what to expect every week. We're not going to put a rush on the quarterback. And if it wasn't for our 3 amazing linebackers, I think we would not be. What are we, 7-2 right now? I think we would be more like 3-4. But something needs to happen with that pass rush if we're going to survive this. Make it to the playoffs and be successful.
I'm trying to run the math in my mind, and I don't know how you get 3 and 4 out of a 9-game schedule. But okay.
I'm sorry. I said we're 7-2. That's another story. 3 and 6. There we go. My bad.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but Matt, you have to go 3 and 4 before you can get to 3 and 6. So
and I mean, you guys.
True.
And I went to Wazoo, so give me credit, please.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So that's actually pretty good math for all right.
He had to use the second hand to finish the number.
Yeah.
There
okay.
you go.
Yeah. I thought it would improve when Reed got back. I thought, no one needed to worry at the beginning of the season. We found out Christmas isn't going to show up for the rest of the season. So that's one of our dudes on the line. His depth is gone, and we're not going to have,
oh my God. I forgot DeMarcus Christmas is on our team. I thought you were talking about December 25th. Like, what are you talking about?
No,
Christmas is not coming soon.
Sorry, he's not. And
it would all be cherries and nuts if we had a Merry Christmas. Yeah. Anyway,
we have another dude on the IR, Jones, big dude, Jones. He's on the IR. I don't know if he's coming back. So at this point, we have what we have, and I can't say reinforcements are coming, and we're past the trade deadline, so it ain't gonna get better, unfortunately. And yeah, it is a very, very serious issue. We just don't get in. I mean, Clowney disrupts, but he doesn't That's his job, really.
Well, somebody's got to do something.
Guy.
Yeah, somebody's got to do something with Clowney. Clowney is the second most double team player in the NFL.
Well, that's always been his job. Is he's the guy who disrupts the offensive line, and he allows he gets the offensive line to focus on him while somebody else runs around the other side.
Yeah. And, so Puna Ford was injured. Did you guys see L.J. Collier on the field?
I saw the back of his shirt, but I didn't sleep. That was about it.
I saw him on the ground.
I still haven't seen anything that justifies that pick or anything from the footage that even made me go, wow, this guy is going to be great someday. I still haven't understood that pick. That one, it might come back to haunt me, and I might be just, be considered an idiot in a year's time. But now,
Matt, we think you're an idiot now.
Okay, well then it's cool. Who cares?
So, John Snyder is not a very good first round draft pick guy. Is what I'm taking away from this. James Carpenter.
I don't think he is. I think you're right. Yeah,
100%. Yep.
Ouch.
Shard Penny. So I think in the future we should all just pray that trades down.
Trade down. He's really good in the middle. I mean, he's found some value in the middle rounds. He's got some claims there to fame. But the other thing is I didn't see much of Quandre Diggs.
So yeah, he didn't play at all. And in my notes I wrote Lano Hill. I meant to write Marquise Blair and Bradley McDougald started. Obviously you guys are not extremely happy with them. What do we think happens with Quandre Diggs? Does he replace the rookie, or does he replace the former Pro Bowler in Bradley McDougald?
He wasn't in it at all?
No, he didn't play one snap.
Why? That's my question.
I don't know. He did have a hamstring injury, maybe he just doesn't get the defensive playbook. I don't know.
But that's what he was brought in for.
But it's a different defense. I mean,
I know.
Josh.
We're not like we're what 2 weeks now since we've got him. So he, I understand him missing the first game, but the second game he should at least be in there limited.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he's still injured.
Anyway.
But whose job does he take?
Blair's. If he can take Blair's job, I think it'll be Blair's. But I think you continue to start those two guys until Diggs can replace one of them.
That's right. They took out Thompson because he's hurt. So Blair's been starting. So yeah, I'd put him in for Blair.
I don't know. That's tough. I wonder if they could put McDougald at nickelback or something to that effect. Yeah, I don't know. It is a broken secondary, but I just wanted to focus on the defensive line because they operate hand in hand. And boy, oh boy, guys, what's going to happen when we face the 49ers? Even though they're number one in defense and number two in scoring defense, they're number two in rushing offense and scoring offense. What's this defense going to do against Jimmy G in that Niners offense?
My prediction, as I spoke earlier, I think the Niners are going to pull away late and blow out the Hawks 37-24. I just think they're going to run for about 200 yards against our team.
I have to agree. And I'm not very high on Jimmy Garoppolo, but I think he is definitely better than Winston, so that's better watch out.
I agree with that. And then they got sorry to interrupt. They got Emmanuel Sanders too, wide receiver. He's not the the greatest wide receiver, but it greatly improved their passing game too, in my opinion.
Yeah, they needed some depth there, and that definitely helped in a big way. Because they've got Dante Pettis and then Samuel, and I can't name another. Oh, good. Do they still have Goodwin? They still got Goodwin.
They have George.
They got Kittle.
They might have George Kittle. Yeah,
George Kittle.
Kittle's the man.
Who's coming off injury.
But that defense is going to be
what about
killer.
That defense though?
Because you got Bosa, you got Buckner, and you got Armstead, and you got Jones on that line, and you're just like,
and DeForest Buckner. You're an Oregon Duck. Why would you forget that?
I said Buckner.
Oh, did you? Okay. Did you say Eric Armstead?
I said Bosa, Buckner, Armstead, and then Jones. Jones is their fourth guy on their line. And they're
Puna Ford.
no.
Not Puna Ford. Sorry.
We have Puna Ford.
D.
They have a Ford.
D Ford. Yeah.
D Ford. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, Puna's ours. No, Armstead, Buckner, and Bosa is all you really need to know. And that's a scary line. That is a very scary line. And then of course they've got Sherman out there. But good luck. I don't envy Chris Carson this coming Monday.
One thing that I did like seeing in last week's game was a preponderance of swing passes and screen passes and slants. It's as if Brian Schottenheimer had a revelation in that you can actually you don't have to do play action pass. It's not necessary every single play. And play action pass is not going to work against these 49ers.
No, and it also, the reason why I like to see it too, and I think what happened is he finally sat Russell down and said, stop waiting 5 minutes in the pocket and running around and looking for the guy that's 40 yards down the field. Take your out guy fast, do the short passes. We'll take the 6 yards if they're going to give us 6 yards every down. Stop. That's the one thing that Russell frustrates me on, is he'll just run around and then he'll throw it like 45, 50 yards. And the percentage of, on those passes is really, really small. And it's like, but there was a guy that was 10 yards in front of him that was wide open for like 5 minutes,
Right.
Just take the 10 yards. You don't have to win the game every single play.
Can I go back to the defense of the 49ers?
Yeah.
That's all right. Nick Bosa, 7 sacks. I think this guy is defensive rookie of the year. Am I wrong?
I think
no.
I think he's on the I think he's on the top of that list, yeah.
I think these guys are going to get 6 to 8 sacks on Russell on Monday night. Call me Mr. Negative because I know you want to, but that's going to happen, unfortunately.
Well,
I can see that happening.
You did mention though that we'd scored 24 points. Are you thinking that it's close early? I think you even mentioned the Niners will run away with it at some point. So that means it will be close for a little bit?
Yeah, I'm saying probably through the third quarter, and then the 49ers pull away at the end in the fourth quarter because Russell only has so much magic and God on his side. He can't win every week.
Right, God only works. He only works Sundays, and this is a Monday.
Yes. Okay, there we go. That's the loophole.
Yeah, good point. It is a Monday night game, so.
Yeah, you found the loophole. So then we'll fall to 7-3, and they'll go to 9-0.
Yep.
And we'll definitely have a lock on the wild card slot.
I'm so glad Solack's on the show tonight to bring us down every time. Hey guys, wasn't it a nice sunny day? It was a nice sunny day today. And you get Solack saying, "Yeah, well,
bring on the rain.
A bear ate my car."
A bear ate my car.
I don't know.
There you go. Okay.
I don't know. That's what I feel like. Solack's got the he's a nattering nabob of negativity, but we like it. Without Solack, we'd never get a bear eating a car.
There you go.
Yeah, he keeps us grounded.
Speaking of car wrecks and bears, there's a big bear of a guy named Cam Newton who has been a total car wreck this season.
Hurt.
Yeah, but even when he was not hurt, actually, you might be right. He might have been hurt and not told anybody about it.
That sounds like him. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think about Carolina just dumping him next year?
I think more than likely it's going to happen.
Yeah, Matt and I talked about this earlier, actually, tonight. I personally think there's a couple teams, but I think he's going to, the Chicago Bears would be the team where he might go.
The Bears, but they've got Trubisky, and they haven't quite given up on him yet, though they should.
Sucks.
They really should. But anyway, no, I heard I read a rumor that they might wind up in Denver. And I laughed at that, but I also kind of tilted my head and go, that kind of makes sense. They need a quarterback. And they're desperate enough to do that, so why not? But yeah, I think Carolina trades him. I think he's signed for one more year after this, and it's not at a ridiculous rate, and so they'll trade him after the season's over, and they'll pull the plug. I think that's going to happen, and there's a few other quarterbacks that are going to get the plug pulled on them, like Andy Dalton finally.
I do have to ask. Sorry to interrupt you, but I do have to ask. Where did you hear that rumor from? Sanju again, or?
No, I think it was on.
It's been on TV. It's been on TV.
Oh, okay. I think it was. You know where I read it? I read it on ProFootballRumors.com with the equivalent of MLB trade rumors, but they're due for Pro Football.
I think
so they were quoting
they're talking on it. They're talking on Fox about it too.
Yeah, and it makes sense logically. So
yes.
Anyway,
so what do you guys think about the recent decision to put Nick Foles back at the helm of the Jacksonville Jaguars and Gardner Minshew on the bench?
We'll let Gardner Minshew's
fan club?
biggest fan, the president of the fan club, go with this.
Wow, they might fire me after they hear my opinion.
Oh.
They pay Nick Foles a lot of money. For some reason, they think that they're going to win with Nick Foles behind whatever. I can't think of what I'm trying to say, but it is what it is. Gardner Minshew did a great job while he was in, but he came down to earth like I thought he would, and I think he's going to stick around. And if he can continue to do a good job as a second-string quarterback, then maybe they'll give him a chance once Nick Foles hurts himself again, and they'll kick Nick Foles to the curb. But they're paying the guy a lot of money to win, so why not?
You nailed it right there. It was cost consideration. You're paying a guy like $25 million, $30 million a year, or whatever they're paying. Something ridiculous that they're paying Foles. You don't have him sit on the bench, and I don't think Minshew necessarily came down. I think he had one bad game in London, and that was really it. It was a matter of the cut. You're paying so much for this dude. You got to start him. That's it sucks, but
that does suck. That does suck because if there was ever like a year for the Jaguars to see what they have in Minshew, I feel like this would be it. But then again, maybe they've seen all they need to see, and they still think they can win the South with Nick Foles at them.
If Foles was on like a 1-year deal, they might be more inclined to do it and just see what they've got and going to the future, like you're saying. But since they signed him a 4-year deal for $80 million or whatever it was, and most of it being guaranteed, they kind of. I mean, it was a financial. Like the owner said, you're not benching that guy. You're spending so much money on him. He's playing. So,
the owner.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's unfortunate. It sucks for Gardner, but it was always going to happen, regardless of how well he played. Unless he played at Russell Wilson MVP levels like this year, then he was going to be benched when Nick Foles came back. It was going to happen. So,
and who knows? They might fall out of contention, and they'll put him back in just to see what happens.
Yeah.
Speaking of Jacksonville Jaguars, their owner Shahid Khan, he owns All Elite Wrestling. Did you guys see that?
I did.
And did you guys see that All Elite Wrestling is having their big pay-per-view tomorrow?
I don't know who's on the card. Is Chris Jericho still the champ?
Yeah, it's Chris Jericho versus Cody Rhodes. So Matt Page's favorite wrestler, Cody Rhodes, might win the championship.
Because he's an adult.
Well, Cody Rhodes
does have a mustache, then he will have a mustache.
Rhodes is the face of that organization, so we'll see if they give him the title or not.
Speaking of face, I remember when Cody Rhodes used to come into the ring with one of those face guards that NBA players would wear because he didn't want his face.
He was horribly disfigured.
Oh yeah, that's right. He got hit in the face, and he thought he was horribly disfigured, and he didn't want anybody to look at him.
But he wore a transparent one.
All right.
And he wore a lot of hoods too. There was a lot of like behind the hood,
Yeah.
Right.
But he had a mustache, and he got made fun of for it. And he had the greatest excuse ever, which was he's an adult, and if he wants to have a mustache, then he will have a mustache. And I had to hand it to him. That was bulletproof logic.
That is bulletproof logic. The other week, Chris Jericho got on the mic and made fun of another wrestler, asking what kind of wrestler would wear a scarf, and the entire audience screams, "You do," because Jericho used to wear a scarf as his gimmick. So, yeah. All right. Well, speaking of clownish cartoon characters, Antonio Brown has been making the headlines. Recently, it's been reported that Russell Wilson was trying to get the Seahawks to bring in Antonio Brown. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles are rumored to get Antonio Brown. How does this guy's name keep popping up?
Because he's good at his job, but he's a worthless piece of crap, but somebody's gonna give him a chance down the road here, unfortunately.
Excuse me, sorry.
Breaking news real quick before you say what you're going to say. Huskies just finally scored 3-0.
Yeah, they threw a lot of bad passes. But anyway, Antonio Brown was on top of the game. He was the best on our unchallenged best receiver in football, like a year ago. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago. He was on top of the planet, and then he had his rift with Ben Roethlisberger and decided to self-destruct instead of be a human being and grow from the experience. Even though Roethlisberger has tried to patch things up, Antonio Brown continues to be a jerk and be a distraction, and then go off and do some controversial, illegal, alleged stuff. But the problem is
sitting in a cryo chamber and getting frozen toes is not illegal.
Might as well be.
Okay, well the problem is that this league has always never cared what people do off the field. I mean, the guy knocks a person out in the elevator and then tries to figure out what to do with the body, and it's cool, he can still start for us because he's so good. And so they've always never cared it. So it doesn't surprise me that there are still teams interested in the guy.
Well, he has his meeting with the NFL in 10 days. So maybe some of these teams are just trying to lay down the groundwork of communicating with him.
Seeing if he's taken the time to regain his sanity and settle down a little bit.
To stop threatening violence.
Yeah, to settle down. Yeah, to settle down a bit, and he's quote unquote determined to play and wants to clear his name. But yeah, I honestly don't think that he can ever accomplish that. But as long as he's as a guy of his caliber in terms of talent is out there, people are going to be at least inquiring. So it doesn't really surprise me.
Well, as ridiculous and as foolish as Antonio Brown is, the ridiculous and foolish challenge flag for pass interference has proven to be a bust, in my opinion. What do you guys think about challenging pass interference?
Like you said, it's been proven to be a bust, and they've had maybe less than 5 wins across the league, and I heard the coaches are going to stop challenging it because it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the challenges have been ignored by the refs just because they're trying to defend their territory. There have been some very clear situations where the challenge flag was thrown, but they go, "Oh, there wasn't quite enough evidence," or blah 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 blah. It was never going to succeed. I like the idea of being able to challenge more things. I've always been an advocate of you should be able to challenge. You should have 2 challenges a game, that's it, and you should be able to challenge that Russell Wilson is wearing the wrong color socks. And the refs go, "Are you an idiot? Are you really want that to count as your challenge?" "Yes, that's my challenge." "Okay, we'll review the tapes, and at the end you lose your challenge and your timeout." But my point is you should be able to challenge absolutely anything on the field at all.
Well, you think you're being ridiculous about that. The other day, not Antonio Brown's, the Cleveland Browns. They might as well be the Antonio Browns. Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry were sent back to the locker room and forced to replace their shoes because
Yeah, there are uniform regulations. Remember, Marshawn Lynch got in trouble with that with the gold spikes or whatever.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so there. I don't know. I just threw that socks as a random example, but my point is that if you're going to have challenges, everything should be open to challenge.
Yeah,
Not
I don't
just
think
this limited little itty bitty thing.
Yeah, I don't think there should be challenges
At all?
Just deal with it. Nah, none.
Okay.
So what if Vinny Testaverde's helmet
Scores a touchdown?
scores a touchdown? I'm tired of these games lasting 12 hours. Let's just get
Well,
through
that's
this.
why I say you limit it to 2 no matter what, and that's that. Period. Dune. I mean, and the reason why the games are taking so long is not necessarily play on the field. It's the commercials. They keep squeezing in more and more and more and more.
Yep.
No, I mean, 2 weeks ago they had an 11-minute challenge. I mean, come on.
Well, they should be quicker on the challenges, but I mean, like I was watching, what was it, the Thursday night game, and they cut to like the sub mini screen, and the side screen is a commercial, and the little screen of what's live playing, and it's like they're trying to cram in way too many commercials, and it's just it's detrimental to the game. There's got to be a point where you go, okay, we're only gonna have breaks at the end of quarters and after touchdowns or something like that, you know.
So what do you want? You just want like soccer where there are no breaks?
Sure. Okay. I'm
All
cool
right.
with that.
I'm okay with that too, because coming up this Sunday is the MLS World Cup, and the Seattle Super Sounders, yes, I'm calling them Seattle Super Sounders, take on the mighty Toronto FC, whatever their nickname is. And this should be pretty exciting. I know, Solack, you're not much of a soccer fan, but this, and for those of you out there who aren't, this is actually one of the biggest single events in Seattle, sports events that is, and they are going to set a new record for attendance at CenturyLink Field with this MLS Cup.
Oh, exceeding 70,000. They're gonna pack that stadium beyond the bulls. I mean, it's gonna be. The ticket prices are insane too, as we.
Oh
found
yeah,
out.
Yeah, didn't they open up all sections and sell it in like 20 minutes or something?
yeah, they did.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which sucks for Matt because he was sitting online for 2 hours.
I was in queue the second this website opened, and I was in queue for an hour trying to get in, and then then it decided to reset on me and failed. But I found out after that it hadn't mattered because it had already sold out at that point anyway, so it didn't matter. And the secondhand market has tickets ranging from 500 to I've seen 3,000.
Oh, ouch. I'm excited for the Sounders and the city. Like you said, I'm not a fan of soccer, and I don't follow soccer. I think it's a big deal that they're playing in front of their home fans. And was this the third time? Is it the last 4 years, or I don't know how many years?
Third time in 4 years.
It shows how dominating we are and as a franchise, and
so is Toronto apparently, because they're who we keep playing.
True, and I really think we're gonna win this game on Sunday, and I'll say right now, final score 3-1 is my prediction. I am happy for Seattle.
Oh, thank God! I thought you were going to say final score 34-24.
No,
with a touchdown in overtime.
That would be an amazing soccer game, and I would love to watch that. 34-24.
I don't know if they get that many shots on the goal, but
Well, the Sounders actually won a championship without a shot on goal.
That was amazing. It was still a W. It was the most boring game ever, but at the end we won. So that's all that matters.
Do we have a good goalie? Like, I'm not knowledgeable, but do we have a good goalie?
Yes.
Yeah. The same goalie from the last several years. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
He's good people.
So I beg the question. This begs the question: if we can host an MLS Cup on November 10th, why can't we host a Super Bowl on February 1st or whatever it is?
Because it's cold.
Oh.
And the VIPs love only warm weather Super Bowls.
But they had.
Remember the year that when we went to the Super Bowl and they went to New York,
Mhm.
The VIPs who fill the stadium because no real fans actually get tickets complained and complained and complained and complained and complained and complained and complained. I think they should rotate and just go around random, work their way around all, was it 30 or 32 teams or whatever, and hit everyone once every 30 years or whatever it comes to your town.
I agree.
I think that'd be cool. Then you're guaranteed that once every 30 years or whatever, you're going to be able to see a Super Bowl in your town, regardless of what the situation is, in terms of the building, the stadium. So even if your stadium sucks, like the Oakland Raiders right now, you still get to host the Super Bowl.
I know they say it's cold, but what's going to happen here? It might rain, but I mean, it's the average. The temperature in February is around 49 degrees. Right now in November, it's 59, and I don't see the freaking difference.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Last year it snowed here in the beginning of February, so there was that. I mean, down in Miami or Tampa or whatever, it won't be.
Well, yeah, but even Miami's not a guarantee. The Super Bowl with the Colts versus the Bears, it was a torrential downpour.
That's right.
It was a monsoon rain. Oh, and even though they got a closed roof, there was an ice storm at Dallas. So they had planned on having a lot of fans outside the stadium watch on a big TV, but there was an ice storm and they couldn't.
I don't know how to tell you. It's just it's the VIPs who decide it. They want to have a warm weather climate bowl, a Super Bowl, and they want to have it in a city that has a nightlife and that will cater to them.
They hate Seattle, don't they?
It's not that they hate Seattle. It's that they don't want to come here because it always rains here. Remember, it always rains here. Anyone who's outside of Seattle who's listening to this, it always rains here. Don't move here.
That is true. A lot of traffic. Seattle freeze is real. No jobs.
Are you going to the game Sunday, Abe? Or I didn't ask you
I'm not. Like Matt said, we tried to get tickets. It was just too.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Too fast. And
there was a couple of us who were in the queue, and we were trying to, and we had a budget, and the budget was far outreached immediately.
My buddy Art, he's actually sent me a request like, my friend, season ticket holder, wants to sell 2 of his seats for $70 each, and he messaged me, and I was like, I don't know. I think we'll just get them online. I should have pulled the trigger. It was a little bit more than I wanted to spend, but then I found out how much the aftermarket value was, and I may have made a mistake. But
that's okay. You could sit on Ian's couch and
or you could go to Macklemore's having a free concert downtown before the game.
Oh, Macklemore, you say? Well, there's definitely a reason for me not to go downtown.
and he makes music apparently. I'm not familiar with that.
I don't know if it qualifies as music, but
yeah.
I can listen to Vanilla Ice and Snow on my laptop. So
wow.
It'll be just like going to a Macklemore concert.
There you go.
I have one quick topic before you move on, if that's all right.
I was going to talk about Mariners, but actually I'd like to talk about anything other than the Mariners. So go ahead.
just seeing this Husky game on TV, how pathetic it is right now. Do the Huskies win out before they play the Cougs, even though they'll probably beat the Cougs, or do you? If your Huskies lose tonight, is that an issue? Because what's that put you guys at 5-5?
Yeah. Well, Oregon State is actually the only team before. That's the game before we play the Apple Cup.
Also,
you have 12 games.
Oh wait, am I missing? Let's see.
You're missing one, I think.
For the record, Oregon State is in second place in the North right now. And you're forgetting Colorado.
Oh no, I'm not forgetting Colorado. That's a win.
Okay.
But is the Husky program in limbo, or are they just having a crappy year, or is it because Pac-12 sucks, or what?
The Huskies, if I can just take that 30,000-foot view, they put their trust in a quarterback in Jacob Eason, who has $1 million arm and a 10-cent brain. I got to call it like I see it.
Yeah,
And
understood.
The offensive coordinator, Bush Hampton, for some reason decided to go away from what the Huskies have been good at, and that is the run to set up the pass, and fell in love with this kid's arm and found out that the receivers this is not the best crop of receivers that the Huskies have had.
Yeah.
And you compound that with a defense that doesn't have the typical defensive backs that they've had in the past. There's all these like little things that kind of build up, but I think fundamentally it's on that offensive side. Maybe they should have gone with Jacob Hayner instead of Jacob Eason. Hindsight's 2020 though.
Isn't
Yeah.
Eason a senior? Like he's done after this year anyway.
Junior.
So
Well, he's probably gonna go out from what people are saying. He's going to go out to the draft, though. I think.
do you hope he goes out, Abe?
I hope the offensive coordinator goes out. Someone else.
Fair
And
enough.
and they bring in somebody who can really work with quarterbacks, because who knows, there might be something to salvage in this kid.
Okay. Well said. All right.
Okay, I was going to talk about the Mariners, but since you forced me to talk about the trash fire, dumpster fire of a season the Huskies have had, I want to ask you, because we got to talk about our favorite topic. And that's the Washington State Cougars. Your coach, Mike Leach, there's talk of him going to Florida State. What do you think about these rumors?
Let's nix that rumor right now.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders is
Deion.
going to be the next head coach for Florida State.
Yep.
Mike Leach is going to stay at Wazoo for the next 5 years.
Deion Sanders.
Yep.
What does he know about coaching?
Nothing.
He worked on the NFL Network, so he knows everything.
Actually, according to 6 hours ago, he is not a candidate, or he is a candidate, but he's not going to accept it.
Interesting.
Okay, so the Florida State athletic director, is he a crack addict? What would make him think that's a good idea?
Well, he did hire Willie Taggart, so
That's a good point. So yes,
I'm just putting that out there. You can decide for yourself what that means, but I'm just putting that out there.
To answer your first question, I could see Leach taking that job if he gets it offered. I hope he doesn't, but it could happen. He does have an off-season home in Florida, and it's a new challenge for him. So
I don't know. I mean, it's not the sweet job it used to be, and there's a complete loss of control in the culture. Like I sent you guys a link in during the week here about Kirk Herbstreit's comments, and he does a little podcast post game on late Saturday night, and he just went off on the culture there, and so I think there's a loss of culture. The job isn't as prestigious as it once was, and the media pressure of the area is just insane. I don't see it worth it unless they're willing to just really bankroll the crap out of him. I mean, like, they throw 45-50 million at you for 4 or 5 years. You don't say no to that kind of money, but
Well, they didn't do it for Jimbo Fisher.
no.
I mean, but they did it for Willie Taggart, and it burned them. So,
Good point.
so I don't think they're willing to throw that kind of money out there again. Which means, to me, if I'm Leach, I stay the big man in the little pond.
Or at
I
least
hope
find a place that's not as dysfunctional as Florida State.
True.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it was someone, if like Michigan came calling, heartbeat, I'd probably jump at that. But Florida State's pretty dysfunctional.
All right. Well, do you guys want to talk about Mariners, or just go straight to buy, sell, and go to hell?
No, you can real quick if we can.
So Jerry DiPoto, in his infinite wisdom, brought up his Double-A pitching coach Pete Woodsworth to be your new Seattle Mariners pitching coach. Are you thrilled? Are you excited? Or did you do what I did yesterday or this morning, yawn and get back to work?
I think I was
Matt.
more upset. I was more upset that Scott Service is staying as manager. I think that was really what bothered me the most about reading that, because they released a whole announcement of their entire pitching or their entire staff, and I was looking, I'm like, wait, manager Scott Service? Okay, we're still losing. Got it. But Pete Woodsworth is his name, and I actually kind of like the move. We've got a lot of young dudes who are playing in Double-A and know him, and pitchers specifically who know him and he did well under him in Double-A, and he can kind of hold their hand as they come to the show. It's not a terrible move. I mean, who else are you going to get there? I mean, you don't have access to Mark Pryor like the Dodgers do. And what's his name? Who is the longtime Yankees pitching coach that we had for a couple of years that finally retired after so many years?
Oh, Stottlemyre.
Stottlemyre. Yeah, Stottlemyre is retired. I mean, name a really good pitching coach across the major leagues. I mean, you really can't name anymore. Brian Price became a real manager, and he was arguably a decent pitching coach.
And now he's pitching coach for Philadelphia.
Oh, he is?
Yes.
Okay. I saw him get fired, but okay.
No, he got fired from the Reds, but Philadelphia signed him, so that was a good move on their part. But I get what you're saying. In my opinion, I didn't know who the hell this guy was when they said his name yesterday, but I agree. If we're building for the future, this guy's worked with these kids, and I can
understand the thinking. I can understand the thinking behind it. It makes sense. Yeah.
He got coach of the year too, pitching coach of the year for the Double-A Arkansas, wherever the hell he was.
Yeah, Arkansas.
And their philosophy is work in the zone, and he seems to believe in the Mariners' philosophy. And I think his team led the league in strikeouts with over 1,300, is what I read.
When you got Sheffield, Dunn, and Logan Gilbert, it's not hard to do. But okay.
Yep, I know it's still impressive in my opinion.
Yeah.
Pitching coach of the year, Double-A. I used to get ice cream after basketball practice too, so
you should be a basketball coach, is what you're saying?
Or Florida State head coach. I'm just as qualified as Steve. All right, guys.
All right.
We're getting towards the end of our show.
Buy, sell, go to hell?
Yeah. We're going to do a segment called Buy, Sell, or Go to Hell. It's a nice little segment where Matt Paige asks Solack and I about a person, a place, a thing, a planet, head coaching position, and we get to decide whether we want to buy it, sell it, or tell it to go to hell.
Okay. First off, I'm going to start with a Seahawks player that was probably a favorite of me and Abraham's, but Gary Jennings was cut from our practice squad and the Seahawks and claimed by Miami this week. What do you think about him and his prospects?
Go ahead, Abraham. If you love him, go ahead.
I guess you got to sell him, or at least the Seahawks did, because they.
Yeah, but what do you think his chances are with Miami?
Oh boy, the Dolphins are in such bad disarray. He'll get an opportunity, and actually, it might be the best thing for him to get off a team where he's blocked by DK Metcalf, John Ursua, David Moore, now Josh Gordon. He was never going to get any playing time here.
Still no love for Malik Turner. Where's the love for Malik Turner?
Okay, we've mentioned his name 3 times.
I'm the one mentioning
3 more times.
But go on.
That's 3 times more than I've ever heard his name mentioned this entire year. So,
wow.
Yeah. I sell Malik Turner.
Gary Jennings.
I'll sell Malik Smith, the Seattle Mariner, too.
Yes, I would too. Gary Jennings, best of luck to you. You can go to hell.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. All right.
Breaking news: he was just named starting wide receiver for the 2020 season for Miami. So best of luck.
Okay.
Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, no. The next one here, there was an interesting article on my favorite publication to read now, The Athletic. Uh, there was an article about Garrett Cole and how the Mariners should go out and try and sign him for reals. What do you think?
Who the hell wrote that? You said the Athletic was one of the Mariner beat writer or what?
That was the Mariner regular Mariner writer, and I can quote you the very first. The headline is "Why the Mariners Should Sign Garrett Cole." Parentheses seriously. On parentheses.
If it's the guy I'm thinking of, he's a character. He actually liked one of my tweets, so he must be
Corey Brock.
Yep. He's probably insane because he liked one of my tweets. That's a bunch of BS. I think his thoughts there can go to hell.
Okay.
Why would we sign him? We're about 4 years away from competing. As making the playoffs. It's not.
Theoretically, our window opens next season, 2021, and not this coming season, but the season after that. And we have only about $35 million committed to that year on payroll. So we have theoretically $100 to $150 million available.
I understand what you're saying, but I think they need to wait till that year to see who's available. Then
there won't be anyone available then. Looking at free agency.
Then we wait till the next year. I don't think we should waste our money right now.
I think every answer you're going to get tonight, Matt, is go to hell.
Okay.
He might have even introduced yourself to him tonight. Hey, what's up, Brian? And he told you to go to hell then too.
Okay.
Have to think back.
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what to feel about this. Garrett Cole, like I read that article too, Matt. There's a lot of good points, but if I'm Garrett Cole, do I want to do that?
No, not at all.
I don't. If I'm him.
No, the money it would take to make him go, yes, please, would be just, like $350 million or something insane, and you don't risk that much money on a pitcher, in my opinion.
And if he had the Astros won and I were him, maybe then that changes because I now have a World Series under my belt. Maybe now I go for the money, but I think I'm going to a contender if I'm him.
Honestly, I think it's already a done deal. I think he's going to be a member of the Oxnard Angels of Greater San Luis Obispo.
Oh God, look at this. This is what I'm talking about. If you look at the television, kind of interception is the.
I was wondering if you saw that. I caught that
too. Yep.
There was a guy open underneath, and Jake Eason just decides to go for broke.
So
I'm going to sell Jacob Eason.
So Jacob Eason, for those that are listening, he just threw a very, very, very underthrown ball that was intercepted by Oregon State, and it's pretty sad. But
is that
anyway,
a turnover chainsaw?
Yeah, it was. I don't know why it has to do with the Beavers. But they're playing in Potato Salad Stadium, is what I like to call it. It's Razor Field, but they're known for making potato salad and other things. But anyway, moving on. Automated strike zones in the minor league baseball world. I trapped myself there in a sentence. They're talking about they're going to add it apparently this week on MLB Network. The commissioner was on there and told them that the technology will be added to that they've been testing in the Atlantic League and in the Arizona Fall League. The Atlantic League being an independent league. They're going to actually move it over to a real minor league field here very shortly. And I wonder how you guys feel about automated strike zones.
Go to hell.
Go to hell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the automated strike zone. You, Matt Paige, for bringing this up. I did not know this was a thing, and this is starting to make me angry.
I did not either. That's something, if we ever get to sit down with Mr. Herzog, we should talk to him about. But
yeah,
I think he would tell you to go to hell too, Matthew Paige.
Okay. That's rude, but okay.
Sorry.
He doesn't really know me all that well, so him just telling me to go to hell randomly would just be kind of a little out of character for him, too, as from what I understand, he's a decent fellow. But anyway, Okay, the last one is I want you guys to name a free agent the Mariners should pursue.
So who would we buy?
Who would you buy? Who do you think we should go and get? And it could be anyone. It can be a tiny little acquisition of a backup player or whatever, but just someone you think we should grab.
A tiny acquisition. Okay.
It could be a reliever. It could be a bench player. It doesn't matter. Just tell me who you think we should go after.
Warwick Davis.
Who?
Warwick Davis, the guy who played Wicket from The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay. And
He's
what role would he play on the team?
He's a tiny acquisition,
Uh-huh.
and he'll be just as useful as any other acquisition the Mariners would make next season.
Okay. What role would he play on the 25-man roster?
Well, he would give us a reason to say, go Willow, or have faith, Willow. Hey, did nobody watch the movie Willow? Am I the only one here?
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Solack?
Probably Matt Adams, first baseman. I think they can get him to play first base at a decent price, and he can pave the way for what's his face in the minor league, which I can't think of his name right now, but
Evan White.
thank you. Have him play half a season, then trade him off to a contender for a bench. He can be on their bench for a good bat. That's who I want to go for.
Makes a lot of sense.
You guys would have laughed if I said Peter Dinklage.
How about you, Matt?
Who do I think?
Yes.
I'm a big advocate for going after Alex Wood. Starting pitcher who was a Dodger, but then he got traded to the Reds. He spent most of the season on the DL, unfortunately, but in the past, he's been a solid dude when he's healthy. And we do need starting pitching depth, and I think we could get him cheap because he needs to reestablish his value. So we could probably get him on a 1-year deal for, $5 or $6 million with incentives plus on top of that. I think he'd help us out depth wise and eat some innings because we only have like 2 starting pitchers on our roster right now.
Fair enough. I like him.
So that's all I have for.
All right.
For
well, I'm thoroughly depressed because once again, Warwick Davis, not even the most popular little guy in Hollywood.
Well,
He only played Leprechaun, you people. Come on.
okay.
Okay.
You guys saw the Leprechaun movies. Oh, God.
I
All
did
right.
not. Sorry. Before my time.
Yeah.
So you never saw Leprechaun in the Hood?
No, I did not.
No.
It sounds amazing.
Okay. Warwick Davis.
sounds like I need to see it just from the name.
All right, guys. Well, that's our show for today. Have a great night, everybody. Check out our great articles on SeattleSportsUnion.com as well. Like us on Facebook and check us out on Twitter @SeattleSportsU. See you guys.
Have a good night, guys.
Take it easy, everyone.